Rowling's journey. 1. The fall. From dreams to survival. In the early 1990s, Joanne Rowling was a researcher and bilingual secretary for Amnesty International. She had the idea for Harry Potter on a delayed train from Manchester to London in 1990. However, life took a series of devastating turns. The loss of her mother, Anne, died of multiple sclerosis at 45. Rowling hadn't yet told her about the book, a regret that eventually fueled the deep themes of grief and the mirror of arised in the story. The failed marriage. She moved to Portugal to teach English, married, and had a daughter. The marriage ended in disaster, and she fled back to the UK as a single mother. By the time she settled in Edinburgh, she was jobless, a single parent, and living in a cramped, cold flat. #2. Life on public assistance. The public assistance, welfare phase was not a romantic period of artistic freedom, it was a period of survival. The financial grind. She lived on roughly £69 a week. After paying rent, there was barely enough for food and diapers. Because her apartment was often too cold or too isolating, she took her daughter, Jessica, out for walks. Once Jessica fell asleep, Rowling would duck into cafes to write. The mental toll. Rowling has been very open about her clinical depression during this time. She felt like a failure. To the world, she was a statistic, a single mother on the dole. The Dementors in her books, creatures that drain all happiness and hope from the air, were born from this clinical numbness. She wasn't just writing a fantasy, she was writing her way out of a dark hole. 3. The manuscript. A labor of manual will. When the first draft was finally finished, Rowling faced a technical barrier. She couldn't afford a computer or even the cost of photocopying. Hand typing. She used an old manual typewriter to type out the entire manuscript. Every time she wanted to send it to a new agent, she had to retype the entire 80,000-word book from scratch because she couldn't afford the shop's copy fees. The rejections. She sent the script to 12 different publishers. Every single one of them rejected it. Some thought the plot was too British, others thought it was too long, and many believed that boys wouldn't want to read a book written by a woman. 4. The breakthrough. A child's curiosity. In 1996, the manuscript landed on the desk of Nigel Newton, the founder of Bloomsbury, a small London publishing house. Newton didn't read it himself at first. He gave the first chapter to his 8-year-old daughter, Alice. After reading it, the girl ran to her father and demanded the second chapter. That child testing was the only reason Bloomsbury agreed to take a chance on it. The famous advice. Even after signing her agent, Christopher Little, warned her, "You'll never make any money out of children's books, Joe." He encouraged her to get a teaching job because the advance she received was only £2,500, about $4,000, barely enough to cover a few months of living expenses. She was also asked to use the pen name, J.K., adding the K for her grandmother Kathleen, because the publishers feared boys wouldn't read a book if they knew it was written by a woman named Joanne. 5. The turning point. The auction. The true rags to riches moment happened in 1997. An auction was held in the United States for the publishing rights. To everyone's shock, Scholastic Inc. won the bid with a staggering $105,000. When Rowling received the news, she said she nearly died of shock. For the first time in years, she could buy a home, heat her house, and provide a stable life for her daughter without the fear of the public assistance check being her only lifeline. Why it is clear and powerful. Rowling's story is the perfect example of perseverance versus circumstance. 1. She used her pain. She turned her depression into the Dementors. 2. She ignored the no's. She retyped her book by hand 12 times despite being told it wouldn't sell. 3. She stayed true to the work. Despite the pressure to get a real job, she finished the story she started on that train 7 years prior.